Former U.S. President Donald Trump is back inside a New York courtroom this hour, defending his business dealings and empire in a civil financial fraud case. Now, here's a live look outside the courtroom where the trial is now currently underway. The case goes to the heart of Trump's image and operations, and it was obvious when he spoke with reporters that he is angry.
We have a rogue judge who rules that properties are worth a tiny fraction, 1/100th, a tiny fraction of what they actually are. We have a racist attorney general who's a horror show, who ran on the basis that she was going to get Trump before she even knew anything about me. It's a scam, it's a sham. Just so you know, my financial statements are phenomenal.
CBC's Paul Hunter is tracking the story for us from our Washington bureau. Paul, remind us what this trial is about.
Yeah, what a remarkable scene, hey, outside the courtroom there with Donald Trump. And consider this, Natasha. Trump right now is in the courtroom because he chooses to be there. He chose to make that statement before walking in, clearly agitated, clearly angry about what's happening, clearly sending a message to his supporters, once again, that he sees this as yet another witch hunt, as he clearly is making politics out of all of it. To be clear, there is a lot at stake for Donald Trump in this trial: his money, control over his real estate holdings, and in no small way, as you note, the image of himself that he has built over the course of time as a businessman with the golden touch, an image he rode to the White House in the ruling last week that indeed he is a fraud and a cheat, that so much of his real estate dealings when it came to valuation was fake news. That's already been determined. He committed fraud for years. This now is about the price he'll pay for that. Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, who he referenced in that clip, is suing Trump for $250 million. And that's on top of potentially losing control over some of his landmark buildings in New York, including Trump Tower, for example. Keep in mind, the judge in this case is the same judge who ruled he has indeed committed fraud. Now the question, what's it going to cost? Letitia James spoke ahead of the hearing as well. She was out on the steps in front of the courthouse. Here's a bit of what she had to say.
My message is simple. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law. And it is my responsibility and my duty and my job to enforce it. The law is both powerful and fragile. And today in court, we will prove our case.
Interesting to hear her say the phrase, how much money he thinks he has.
Paul, let's talk about the ramifications of this case for Trump. Legally, financially, personally, politically, what's at stake for him?
Well, let's talk politically, and let's not forget that we are in election season now. Donald Trump is a potential witness at this trial. He could be called by either or both the defense and the prosecution. He's on both witness lists. But besides being a potential witness, he is by far the leading candidate for the Republican Party to be their nominee for the White House next year. So what will that mean for politics in this country? On the one hand, you know, so much of his support is baked in, but on the other hand, so much of it was based on that image of him as the businessman who can do no wrong. This pokes holes in all of that. What no one knows is what effect it'll have on Trump voters. Will they care that his whole image as the kind of guy they thought the U.S. needed, that if he can get rich, everybody can get rich, that whole image is being torn apart by this? But he's very good at portraying himself as the martyr, as the victim of a witch hunt, the term he uses so often. You know, he's fundraising off of this as we speak. Emails have been going out this morning to raise funds for his campaign for the White House as he sits in that courtroom. Bottom line, once again, these are unusual times in U.S. politics, Natasha.
And thank you for covering them. CBC's Paul Hunter in Washington.